So, what if you could instantly get better balance, more strength, and maybe even tack on some healthier years to your life, all without a single drug or supplement? Sounds kind of out there, right? Well, that is the huge claim behind a product called the Super Patch. So let's dive into this and see what it's all about.
Here's what we're going to cover. First up, we'll unpack that big promise the Super Patch is making. Then we'll look at the two main patches they offer and the wild technology they supposedly use. After that, we'll check out how a group of older martial artists is putting these things to the test, and we'll wrap up with the core claims you really need to know.
All right, so first things first, what is the fundamental promise being made here? What's the big idea?
Well, it doesn't get much bolder than that, does it? The marketing isn't positioning this as just a small step up. No, they're calling it a genuine breakthrough, a whole new way of thinking about our well-being.
So here's the deal. The way they connect this patch to a longer, healthier life is pretty interesting. They point to all these global studies showing that things like your balance and your grip strength are massive indicators for longevity. You know, the better they are, the better you tend to age. And the Super Patch claims to improve these things, get this, instantly.
And wow, this quote really sums up the sheer ambition of the product. They're not just talking about feeling a little bit better, they're literally invoking one of the biggest myths in history, the fountain of youth. The whole idea is that it can, in effect, dial back your biological age right on the spot. Okay, so that is a powerful promise, but it turns out this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. The sources actually highlight two main versions of the patch, and each one has a very specific goal.
And what's really interesting here is how clear the split is. On one side, you've got the Liberty Patch. That one's aimed at the general adult population, really focusing on those key longevity markers, balance and stability. But on the other side, you've got the Victory Patch, and that one is squarely for athletes. It's all about power, and they even call it a secret weapon. Let's put some numbers to that, because they're pretty eye-popping. For the Liberty Patch, the Fountain of Youth one, the source material claims a massive 30% improvement in balance and stability. That's the core promise right there. Plus, a still very impressive 20% boost in power and strength.
Now, if we flip over to the Victory Patch, the one for athletes, the numbers are pretty similar, but the emphasis changes. Here, the claim is almost a 20% increase in power and over a 30% improvement in balance. It's really tailored for those quick, explosive athletic movements.
This all sounds incredible, but you're probably wondering, how on earth is a simple little patch supposed to do all of this? So let's get into the technology they claim is making it all happen.
The secret, according to the sources, is this thing they call Vibrotactile Trigger Technology, or VTT for short. The basic idea is that there are these specific unique patterns that, when they touch your skin, can trigger a response from your nervous system and basically optimize how your brain and body talk to each other.
And here's the analogy they use that makes it all click. They say to think of the ridges on the patch like Braille. It's not about what's in the patch, there are no drugs or anything. It's all about the physical pattern on the surface. Your skin feels that pattern, it sends a unique signal to your brain, and your brain supposedly goes, okay, I got it, and responds by improving your body's function.
So if you break it down, it's a really simple three-step process they're describing. First, you have stimulation. Those little ridges create a specific feeling on your skin. That leads to step 2, sensation. This feeling generates a signal that travels right up your nervous system. And finally, optimization. That specific signal is what they claim fine-tunes your neurological functions, leading to better physical performance.
So, okay, that's the theory. But what does this look like out in the real world? Well, the sources actually give us a really cool specific example from the world of martial arts.
So, get this. There's this group called the Unified Martial Arts Network, and they have a league specifically for, and I love this, older guys and older girls, or the UMan OGs. It's a whole tournament circuit for martial arts pioneers and legends who are all aged 30 and over.
And when they say older, they are not kidding. The average age of the competitors at one of their recent national championships was 65, with the oldest being 85 years old. I mean, these are not casual weekend hobbyists. These are lifelong martial artists, and a lot of them are competing with chronic injuries from decades of intense training. So, according to the league's founder, they were actively looking for some kind of edge. You know, anything to help these amazing, experienced competitors perform at their best and deal with the pain. And that's when they were introduced to the Super Patch and decided to approve it for all their members.
And they are apparently using it for absolutely everything. The source lists all kinds of applications, from sparring and weapons forms to really dynamic movements like sweeps and even cartwheels. It's a pretty direct endorsement from a community that absolutely depends on top-notch physical performance and stability.
All right, for our last section, let's just pull back and look at the key features that are consistently brought up across all the source materials for these patches.
3 points come up again and again. First, that the patches are 100% drug-free and have no active ingredients whatsoever. Second, that they are made in the USA. And third, that they are registered with the FDA. Now, it's really important to understand that registered just means the FDA knows about the facility where the product is made. It is not the same thing as being FDA approved for safety or effectiveness. But yeah, these 3 points are absolutely central to how the product is marketed.
So, there you have it. We've seen these extraordinary claims, everything from being a fountain of youth to a secret weapon for athletes, all based on this wild idea of Braille for the brain. And that really leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. Is this kind of non-invasive, totally drug-free technology the future of how we approach human wellness and performance?